Hello, my name is Ryan Brannigan, 29 years old, turning 30 in September. A very big monumental moment for me. I'm scared to turn 30. It's just a little bit about myself. I don't know if any of you are ever scared to turn 30, 40, 50, but it's a big thing for me. So I'm turning 30 in September. But anyways, if you want to talk about professional weakness, I would have to say that I really need improvement at how I explain problems. So it's easier to see a problem and maybe so when I have a problem that I can't solve personally, I take it to my superior. But if I can't explain the problem properly, then she's not going to understand the problem properly. And I feel that I have a tough time explaining a problem properly, which has to deal with communication and maybe the understanding of what I'm doing. I've gotten better, but it does need some work. But I also know how to buckle down. I've worked for West Point, and so we did burials, and I was called in on a Saturday. So we never worked Saturdays, no overtime, no nothing. But what had happened was a politician had died, and the request was for a Saturday funeral. Politician graduated from West Point. You need to get buried. It needs to look perfect. So you call me on a Thursday. He needs to get buried on a Saturday. I don't work Saturdays. Done. Say no more. Whatever. So when I'm working somewhere, I know what you expect, and I don't want to do the lesser. I want to do the latter. So I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to get it done to a higher expectation than even my superiors would think. That's just something that I like to do. And if I don't do it, then call me out on it, please. If I was promoted within the workplace, dealing with colleagues that are now my subordinates, now they have to listen to me, I would take everybody aside. That's kind of what I would do. The way that I would go about it is I would talk to them individually, ask them if they need anything. I would sit down with them, talk to them, tell them this is, I got promoted. There's no hard feelings. I don't want you, like, whatever you need, I'm still the same guy that you met yesterday. I might have a promotion, but you can still talk to me the same way. That's the first thing that I would want to be known. You can still talk to me the same way. I'm not some guy. I'm still the same guy. But at the same time, I'm the boss now. But which is a good thing. So anything we need done, things that we've talked about, we can get done. It doesn't need to be a struggle. And you know what? You're good enough. I'll give you a recommendation that can blow mine out of the water. You can end up being higher than I am. Like it's all about your worth. So that's what I would do. What kind of person do I have difficulty working with? I get along with a lot of people. I do. But if I had to pinpoint a person that is difficult to work with, somebody that's very negative all the time, no good outlook, doesn't really understand. He looks at a problem and thinks it's a problem. It's like, oh my God, it's a problem. What do we do? I like to work with a person that looks at the problems like, I know the solution. Whether it's me or somebody that looks at it and goes, hey Ryan, come look at this. What do you think about this? Well, we work together, we figure it out. Instead of somebody just complaining. So I guess the complaining stuff, it's gotta go. There's no room for that in. I mean, you can get upset. You have your days. You get upset. It happens. We're all human, but the constant complaining, all that, not necessarily what I would look for into an employee if I was an employer. Um, Dealing with confrontation and conflict. So I go to my superiors. Well, I don't necessarily right away. I would love to talk to them, explain my disconcern or my stress, explain to them what I feel is wrong, but I also want to give them a chance to explain and to counteract, to say why they think theirs right. I would never want to go superior right away. I would like to try to keep it in-house. Talk to, like, it depends on the conflict. If what are we fighting over? Markers or a contract? You know what I mean? It depends on the situation. So, but in general, I would never want to go to somebody. Do I want to go to superiors in the end? Yes, 100%. If it's not solved between the two parties that are having the conflict, which I think it would be solved. I don't see any reason to go to my superiors or any, but if that does need to be done and there's not a resolution that is agreed upon by both parties, then I will have to go to my superiors and let them be aware of the situation and we can figure it out from there. But that's the last resort. It's not that I'm hesitant to do it. I would just rather, face the problem head on, talk to the people head on. And I mean, we're all a team, so you got to work together. And the last thing a supervisor needs is, a little discrepancy that could have been solved if they were adults about it and just handled it correctly. So it's kind of how I feel in this situation. And that's how I've done it in the past. There's been some other times, now thinking back on it, that could have gone a couple ways, but as you get older, you start realizing that you know how to handle the situation. What motivates me in the field of finance and accounting, and I now say finance because I think financing is more my kind of lingo. It's more the pride that I get when I get an answer right, and I like numbers, so I understand numbers. I don't really understand a lot of things, which is why I'm switching from accounting to finance. I feel like of course, there's always principle involved, but way less principle, way more numbers, and I get the numbers right, and I feel great. Like it's like a 2-year-old getting 5 times 5 for the first time. They're like, oh my god, 25, and they're like, the teacher's like, yes, you're right, and that's the excitement I feel every time I get something right when it deals with my type of field, which would be finance. So I went in for accounting. I don't really get that feeling when I distribute money from here to there. Say I put cash into an account. Trying to make a good example. I mean, there's plenty of good examples, but I really want to. So instead of taking the extra money, okay, like what, or so say you're like, so like, how do we get these sales? What do we do? An accountant has nothing to do with that. Like the past, present, future, and the money wise, they have nothing. All they do is kind of allocate of where the money goes. I want to know where the money came from and how the money got there, which falls into finance, which is something that I'd be better at. So that's kind of where I stand on that. The only thing I've left to say, I'm a payroll clerk at the moment. I love about my job. I love that it's professional. I love the office setting. I love the fact that as long as my job is done correctly, I I'm okay. Is it where I want to be? No, of course not. But is that where I want to start? Not a bad place to start. Good accounting firm. Like I said, I do my job well. I was taught well. I do like the fact that I get a little math involved. It's not much. Like I said, more principle. It's almost along the lines of accounting. It's more principle and repetition, but it's definitely a step up from where I've been. So it's been 10 minutes, so I gotta go. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. Bye.